We're live, pal.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm here with my brother, and we're also here with Chase, and we're going to do a NBA season preview. The season starts December 22nd, and the first team we're going to talk about is the NBA champions, the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, Chase, you actually told me that you thought the Lakers won the offseason.
Yes, I did.
And why is that? I think you could argue against it, but
To
what are your
me,
thoughts?
the Lakers last year, they had absolutely no fucking depth whatsoever. It was literally Anthony Davis and LeBron James were the only two guys with a positive real plus minus. Everybody else was negative. And to me, when you add Marc Gasol, you add Dennis Schroeder and Montrezl Harrell, who finished 1 and 2 Sixth Man of the Year. You add Wesley Matthews, who's arguably a more consistent defender and shooter than Danny Green at this point. Like, I see how they literally plugged up all their holes.
Okay, so you're not as high on Danny Green as most other people.
I mean,
That's
he hasn't.
no, I
He
agree.
wasn't
He wasn't as
consistent.
good. He wasn't hitting open shots. He wasn't as good as the San Antonio version. I would agree with that. But what about Rondo though? Rondo was so good in the playoffs. You know, he really, the playoff Rondo thing really took place in Chicago, where you thought the Bulls were going to do nothing. When he got to Chicago. And then they probably would have upset the Celtics in the first round as the 7th seed. So that's when the playoff Rondo thing started, and he kind of reverted back to that in the finals. So, I mean, what do you think of the loss of Rondo?
I don't think it's that big of a deal.
Not that big of a deal.
No.
I think it could be. Somebody has to step in and fill those shoes. And obviously, I think you're right. Like they obviously those are all very talented players. And I remember Frank Vogel. They asked him about how he felt about the lineup change and everything, and with it being such a quick turnaround, from when they were still playing, he probably feels like some of those guys, they knew their role. So I think his challenge is Marc Gasol going to know his role? Like, are these guys going to know their role? Usually with LeBron James, guys follow the LeBron James code. But you always have to worry about that as a head coach going into a season where you're expected to repeat, and you've got this huge, like, all these different faces around. So yeah, I think as far as talent goes, I agree. It on paper it should be a more talented team, and I agree with the Danny Green thing.
Yeah.
As far as like his shooting goes and everything, you're absolutely right. He was inconsistent, but he was part of the last 2 championship teams. So that's experience that a lot of those guys don't have. So.
I mean, like talent-wise, like to me, their main problem is like, what do you do when LeBron's off the floor? Because those minutes are also really bad for them.
Yeah, you're right. I was always
And
very worried on LeBron.
And what worked for the Clippers last year was Lou Williams and Montrezl Harrell. And you can argue easily that Dennis Schroeder's a much better player at this point than Lou Williams is. Would y'all both agree with that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, definitely. He to me, he's more of a combo guard, though. They still didn't solve the, backup point guard issue. So I am a little bit worried about that. I mean, is Schroeder really someone that can, bring the ball up the court and be a floor general like a Rondo can? Probably not. But the thing is, he's more athletic. He's probably, he's a great defender. He's a tremendous player. But I don't know if it solves their point guard issues. But at the same time, LeBron's pretty much the point guard anyway. So you could argue that.
Do you need that when you have Marc Gasol who can run an offense through the post?
Yeah, that's a good point. And, they lost Dwight. They lost JaVale McGee. They're probably not going to be as athletic in terms of rim protection, but, they still got
the thing you're trading, okay, you're losing athleticism when you're getting rid of JaVale McGee and Dwight Howard, but Marc Gasol's basketball IQ is so much higher than those two guys. Like, to me, it's worth it. Like, to have someone that's going to be in the right spot every single play and never get in anybody's way. Like, you would argue that JaVale and Dwight sometimes would get in AD's way and not let him be himself.
Right. And like you saw against the Rockets, they had to readjust the whole lineup. So, yeah, I definitely think, Wes Matthews is a hell of a defender.
Yeah.
Even though tore his Achilles, I still think he's an excellent player. So
No, he's not as good as he was
I
before
would
that.
agree.
But
I think some people argued the Hawks won the offseason. There's other teams that
no,
really made a big splash. But I don't know. I'm just a little bit worried about the Lakers, though. I mean, if they do win the championship, it's almost like they have to win it twice in the same year. So I'm just worried about the burden. It's going to be really tough. You could just feel it with LeBron. It's almost like Jordan in '92 with the Dream Team. Like it almost feels like a chore just to get back on the court. That's the mentality I'm getting from them right now. So I'm just a little bit worried about burnout and fatigue.
Have you seen those pictures of LeBron on the sidelines during these preseason games where he's got both knees iced up and his feet in ice baths while he's out of the game during a live game? Like
he looks tired.
These 70, like he's about to turn 36. Did he already turn 36? I know it's this month.
Next week, I guess. 10 days from now.
It's weird because it feels like he's been like the longest guy to where Father Time still hasn't caught him, but it's undefeated. Eventually, it's going to get him. We just don't know when.
Well, the other thing I want to bring up, Chase is, when Anthony Davis was drafted by New Orleans, Chase almost fainted, like he was in heaven. And
that was before. That was when we were doing the draft evaluation process, and I was like, "This is."
But you've always hated the Lakers because they tried to steal Chris Paul and they ended up stealing Anthony Davis, and this is like the definition of a bandwagon Laker fan. So let me just. What do you think about the Lakers winning this year? I mean, do you think they're going to repeat?
I like LeBron. I root for the teams that LeBron goes to. He's fun to watch. He's a great leader. He made the NBA Finals 9 times in a row or 8 times in a row.
It's 8 times in a row. It's 9 out of the past 11.
Yeah. So I mean, 10 in his whole career.
Mm-hmm.
So he's fun to watch, and now, yes, he is in the twilight of his career, I think. And it's just fun to watch that story unfold and play out. So, yes, I'm a LeBron fan, which I know you are not. So I'm not a bandwagon Laker fan. That is not fair.
But Chase, how do you feel about Anthony Davis winning a championship after, leaving your beloved New Orleans Pelicans?
He can do whatever he wants, man. He can go hawk his mobile one. He can go hawk his ruffles, whatever. I got Zion.
Oh, okay. So you're not bitter at all, huh? Yeah, I mean, I didn't like the way the trade was orchestrated because of the whole Clutch Sports situation.
Rich Paul? Rich Paul, he's the best.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I thought you were a little bit bitter about that, but you can't argue, man. AD, it was a great combination. It probably is like the closest thing we've seen to Jordan and Pippen. Like the combination. A lot of people were hesitant that it wasn't going to work, but they proved everybody wrong. So
who said it wasn't going to work? Like Stephen A. Smith, Skip Bayless.
It was actually Mike Francesa that said that AD was getting in LeBron's way, but he couldn't have been more wrong.
You still pay attention to that Mike Francesa guy, really?
He's retired. He's been more quiet since the pandemic than ever. I don't know what's going on. But Chase, you know what? The Lakers, they're playing let's jump to the Dallas Mavericks. They're playing Dallas Mavericks on Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
I was hoping we could transition to Dallas. A lot of people think Luka Doncic is going to win the MVP. I just don't see how that's possible. Like, I think maybe it's possible unless they get home court advantage. I think they have to get home court advantage in the first round, which I don't think they can. And Porzingis is going to have to be healthy, which I don't think he will. But, talk about why is there so much hype about Luka winning the MVP?
Because he's like the best young playmaker that's ever been in the league. Like he just drove like the best offense in NBA history, 119 points per 100 possessions. That was last year. That was because of Luka Doncic. That was without Porzingis most of the time. But to me, the biggest story with them is that they were in the Drew Holiday race. And they backed out of it and opted instead to trade Seth Curry for Josh Richardson, which I think is a good pickup. But, I think Drew Holiday would have put them over the edge. But you could have said that about any team in that race. But nobody was willing.
So they were going to put Drew Holiday at the 2?
Yes.
Luka at the 1?
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't even think of that. I didn't even hear about that. So yeah, I mean, who did Dallas really pick up to make them better?
Just Josh Richardson.
That's
That's
really
it.
it.
That's
And
really
then
it.
they got Powell coming back off the Achilles, right?
Yes. Dwight Powell. Yeah.
Yeah. Would he be ready?
I don't know because his game was
Yeah,
really.
I don't think it's been a whole year yet. Yeah, but he was one of their best big men to have. Tim Hardaway Jr. Is Porzingis going to be ready for the
No.
season or not?
Nope. Not at all.
Yeah, so I don't see how Luka can win the MVP. I can't really see them being any more than like a 6 or 7 seed, to be honest with you.
So that's another
I
thing.
know they gave the Clippers a great run, but I don't know.
So
I don't see it.
that's another thing that I want to bring up is that a lot of people don't realize or remember that the play-in tournament's a thing now. So like the NBA has handily broke things down to 3 tiers where 1 through 6 you are locked in the playoffs.
Okay.
7 through. Do you know how it works? Do you know how the play-in
Right,
tournament?
7 through 10 is a play-in tournament, right?
Yes. So really, if you're in that 7 through 10 range, you're in the playoffs. But to me, it's like I don't understand why those teams, like if they basically it's a possibility for a lottery team to win a championship now because they aren't changing the lottery based on the results on the play-in tournament. They're doing it still based on the ending of the regular season, which I don't necessarily agree with.
Yeah. So you could be the 10th seed
And
still,
win the title and get the number 1 pick.
Yeah, no, it's fun. No, it should be interesting.
That's
But-
crazy.
What was Dallas 7th last year, or were they 6th?
When they played the Clippers, they were the 7th seed.
Oh, yeah, they were
I
7th,
I
yeah.
kind of see them being in the same spot. I really do. I think Portland's a better team.
Oh,
I think Denver's a better team. I think Utah's going to be a better team. So, we could go. I'm just talking about Dallas. I just too many question marks there. I know Luka's great, but it's just not enough to secure a home court advantage in the first round.
Not at this point.
Too much competition to win the MVP too. I just don't. I don't see it happening.
I don't know if trading for Rudy Gobert would get them there either. That's another situation.
Yeah, we could talk about Utah later.
Oh my God.
All right. You know what? Let me see. The first matchup on Christmas Day, we have the New Orleans Pelicans taking on the Miami Heat. Chase, why don't you go in depth about the Pelicans, Zion, and the whole situation there with the trade that they made with Drew Holiday.
Yes, they traded Drew Holiday for 5 first-round picks, which I still can't believe that happened. Like, why would you give that much for Drew Holiday? A lot of the fan base is very mad because they already cashed in one of those picks for Steven Adams. But to me, it's like they got Steven Adams for a pick. Why wouldn't you do that? But basically, our starting 5 is Eric Bledsoe, Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Zion Williamson, and Steven Adams. So they're going to be a lot slower than they were last year.
Starting 5. and they look good so far. And yeah, my man Stan Van Gundy got a job again finally. I think he's a great coach. I think you can argue that Stan took one of the least talented teams in NBA history to the NBA Finals. So I love the hire. I love the roster revamp. I think I like Bledsoe in this role a little bit better. I don't think there's as much pressure on him. Yeah, man, I think Zion looks good so far.
He's down 25 pounds apparently.
What's that?
He's down 25 pounds apparently.
Yeah, it's hard to tell, but
because he's so freaking huge. That's the problem. Is his frame is so big.
Big guy.
Yeah. I think that's the key, man. I mean, I keep comparing him to Larry. Larry Johnson is my favorite player, but bottom line was his body couldn't hold up. So I'm a little bit worried about Zion's body, throughout the whole season.
Now he's played 34 minutes in each of the preseason games, which he didn't do in any 2-game stretch last year. So that's a good sign off the bat right there.
Oh yeah, there you go. Sure.
But what are your thoughts on Zion from what you've seen of him?
I've only seen a little bit, just a lot of strength. He's so athletic. And so, but I haven't had a chance to really see him play enough to judge.
Okay. Yeah. All right, Chase. The Pelicans gonna make the playoffs?
I think they'll at least be in that play-in tournament. Like to me,
definitely.
The West is like so wide open with like Chris Paul joining the Phoenix Suns after they go undefeated in the bubble. Logically, you would think that would make them a lot better since all they really gave up was Ricky Rubio and Kelly Oubre just to get Chris Paul. But like the West seems a lot more competitive than the East yet again.
Again,
Yeah.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
All right. So the Pelicans taking on Miami. Miami pretty much just bring everybody back. They signed Dragic. They signed Bam Adebayo to the max. Really not anything new other than, they're just gonna they shocked everybody last year, but I love the team. I think they'll be great.
You think they'll have a better seed this time around?
Oh, definitely, yeah. I definitely think they'll definitely have a better seed.
The scuttlebutt when Bam signed that max extension, since he and Giannis had the same agent, and they were trying to hold off the Bam thing, so it had the cap room. That was basically, people thought that was tipping off that Giannis was staying, and apparently that was true.
Really?
Yeah.
Giannis, are you saying he was waiting out for more money?
No, okay. So Miami was going to have max cap space next season, but in order to do that, Bam had to enter a restricted free agency. They couldn't extend Bam. So since they immediately extended Bam, people took that as a sign that Giannis is staying in Milwaukee, and that's what happened.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Giannis is like ideal for Pat Riley. Riley likes the Magic Johnson, Lamar Odom types, and Giannis and LeBron. It kind of fits what Riley loves. So it definitely makes sense. But Bam was so good last year, right? You can't argue that they signed him.
Yeah.
No, like I love Miami's team. I love watching Duncan Robinson come off screens. He gets his feet set and firing so quickly. Like I can't believe like a guy of that level of talent went undrafted. But
yeah, and then Hero was a pleasant surprise too. So him and Duncan Robinson, the guys that can shoot, they're just a well-rounded team.
Yep.
And then Dragic is their leading scorer. During the bubble.
They lost some of their depth though. Like Jay Crowder went to Phoenix, Derek Jones Jr. went to Portland.
Yeah, no, I was always saying that Jay Crowder was kind of the weak link in the finals. I don't know. I don't think he can hit wide open threes while the game is on the line. So I'm not a big Jay Crowder fan, but yeah, he did go to Phoenix. Right. That kind of went under the radar too. Like I didn't realize that till last night. But yeah, man. Any final thoughts on Miami?
No, this is going to be a lot of fun to watch, and as long as they're not playing the Lakers, I won't root against them as hard. Especially Duncan Robinson. I was yelling at the screen for them to guard that shot the entire series.
I don't think it matters.
They got a raw deal, man. I mean, what were the chances that their three top players would all get injured? First half of freaking game one of the finals. Then after game one, everyone was like, "Oh, this is going to be a terrible finals." It would have been an awesome finals if that didn't happen.
Might have gone 7 games. The Lakers might not have won. The Lakers might not have won.
It's tough to say, but
I would
see them get a second shot.
I would say outside of the complete Warriors beatdowns, that was the least entertained I've been by a finals, with the exception of the game where Jimmy Butler literally was exhausted to death. It was is pretty much all bad.
I was into it.
All right, so the next matchup on Christmas Day, I can't wait to talk about this game. This is the game I'm most looking forward to. Golden State Warriors, Milwaukee Bucks. Chase, last year when Golden State started off the season, they had Steph, they had Draymond, and you hated the roster. I mean, it was basically
D'Angelo Russell did not fit whatsoever.
Oh yeah, that's the other thing. D'Angelo Russell.
To me, swapping him out with Wiggins doesn't help him much better either.
Right, you're not a big Wiggins fan.
No.
But I don't know. What do you think of how does Steph look so far? And the James Wiseman, they had the second pick in the draft. To me, I like him. I think he's like a Chris Bosh, David Robinson, someone that could switch on the pick and rolls and guard guys at the 3-point line. I like his versatility. I hope that he's able to play right away because I think they need that.
But the problem is that
what do you think of the team?
It usually takes big men 3 to 5 years to come in on their own, and they're asking this 19-year-old kid to come in immediately and help out this team, which is a lot to ask. Draymond does not look anywhere near as good as the height of the Warriors. Obviously, the Clay situation is depressing.
Yeah.
Steph is still Steph, and he's probably a playoff berth. Maybe at this now a play-in tournament berth, at least guarantee if he stays healthy, which was a problem
Really?
for him last year.
Wow.
They traded for Kelly Oubre. I don't know how
I
much.
like that move.
Yeah, it added on $84 million to their luxury tax bill just to get him. So they're
Yeah,
paying a
well,
lot for him.
they're trying to compensate for last season. I think that has a lot to do with it.
Like
Yeah, but the Wiggins move was a good move though, man. I thought. I think even though, I think everybody is down on Wiggins' demeanor. Obviously he's not living up to his potential in terms of.
If you look at his talent level, he should be like top 10 in the NBA, and he's never approached that level play wise.
When he was in high school, this is the most hyped Canadian high school player ever. They said he was the LeBron of Canada.
Yeah.
You could even make a case that he had more hype than Anthony Davis coming out of high school.
He probably did.
So I don't know. I don't know what the deal is, but if they could just get him to be a great defender and kind of do what Harrison Barnes did, I still think they'll get to the playoffs. I like Steph as an MVP more than Luka. I think Steph has a higher chance of getting the MVP more than Luka. But I think they'll make the playoffs. But it's going to be hard though. It's going to be extremely difficult.
I remember they were asking Steve Kerr about, like, you guys are in rebuilding. I think it was Bill Simmons who said, well, you guys are in rebuilding. Steve Kerr was, no, we're not rebuilding. We're still basically reacting as if they were still in their championship run. But I think that enough time has passed now. It almost does feel like they're in a rebuilding of sorts, especially once Clay went down. This is not going to be the Warriors team that we were used to just 2 or 3 years ago. So maybe it's not quite rebuilding, but it is scaffolding for sure.
Yeah.
I mean,
I'm excited to see Steph. I think everybody's missed him. At least we'll get that.
Okay.
So
he's taking his tunnel shot from the stands now since there's nobody there. But I don't.
All right, man. Let's jump to the Milwaukee Bucks. So Giannis just signed the biggest contract in NBA history, 5 years, $228 million. They got Drew Holiday. I mean, do you think Drew Holiday could really help Giannis in the playoffs? Is that what they've been missing? That extra ball handler and defender to take the pressure off of him?
I think if things had gone originally according to plan, where they had also gotten Bogdanovich, but you remember that whole fiasco where they signed and traded for him, but no one ever talked to Bogdan to see if he actually wanted to do it?
The Bogdanovich from Sacramento.
Yes.
I remember there was a hold-up about it. Yeah.
Milwaukee was supposed to get him, but apparently Sacramento never talked to him about this potential deal.
Right.
Like, to me, if they had done that, they'd have been for sure favorites to win the title, best starting five in the NBA. But now they have, Drew Holiday, Dante DiVincenzo, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Brook. So,
yeah.
Drew Holiday is better than Eric Bledsoe, but is he 5 first-round draft picks and George Hill better than Eric Bledsoe? That's a lot for Drew Holiday. Is he the best perimeter defender in the NBA? Yeah. Do you cash in your entire future for that? I don't know. Like, they have thrown in all their chips on Giannis's prime.
They're going all in. I don't blame them for doing it, especially with Giannis's situation at that time up in the air. I guess that's what they had to do, but I don't know, man. Giannis is kind of like the Lamar Jackson of the NBA. I think he's developing that reputation. Dominant in the regular season, but in the playoffs, it's just easy to key on him in a 7-game series.
You made a good point. Being the Milwaukee Bucks, to go as far as they're going, even without getting to the finals, it's still big for the Milwaukee Bucks. A smaller market team, but I think that coach, correct me if I'm wrong,
Mike
he
Budenholzer.
He coached the Atlanta Hawks.
Yes, when they won 60 games.
Same thing.
Yeah.
Postseason was just a dump, but they were the number one. They were the number 1 seed. So that coach has a lot to prove in the postseason.
No, you're right.
He's a brilliant coach. My biggest issue with him is that when it came playoff time, he would not play his guys major minutes. Like he still kept his regular season rotation. Like something I saw where Eric Bledsoe only played 33 or more minutes 5 times last year, which is nuts for a starting point guard in the NBA.
Maybe that's one of the reasons why.
I mean, they took away all their depth. Like Robin Lopez is gone, Ilyasova's gone, Kyle Korver's gone. Like really, they're pretty much the roster set up to where he's forced to play 8 guys. Like they're trying to make him be a different coach with the roster they've set up. So we'll see how it goes.
Oh, interesting.
To me, that's necessary for him to go deep in the playoffs, though, because you can't be. Nobody relies on bench guys in the playoffs, like deep bench guys.
Oh, Chase, do you remember who was getting too much playing time in the bubble? Was it Pat Connaughton or was it DiVincenzo? Give me some names because I can't remember off the top of my head.
Oh God, I don't know this off the top of my head. Milwaukee.
No, it's okay. But man,
fuck, I don't know. Anyways, Giannis should be playing more than 32 minutes a game, just flat out. You're that talented, you need to be playing more than that.
Yeah, when the semifinals are on the line, absolutely.
Granted, he got hurt too, so that was another issue.
Yeah, that was bad.
But to me, they will go as far as Giannis takes him. That doesn't matter about the Drew trade. Doesn't matter about Chris Middleton. It's all on him.
It's true. Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, they just got to get him some help when they pressure him full court. There's just a lot of times where he's trying to dribble through other guys, and he's got to protect his ankles too. There's things you could do to protect the ankles from spraining. It's just little things like that kind of nagged him during the playoffs too. So it's stuff like that I think he's got to overcome. But yeah, I'm rooting for him though, man. I hope he does well.
I mean,
it's just a shame.
26 is usually the age the great ones win their first title. LeBron, Jordan.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting.
27.
His career reminds me a little more of Hakeem Olajuwon's. I don't know if
Giannis.
Yeah, maybe because Hakeem is from a different country, right? I mean,
okay.
And I guess Houston wasn't that's not a small market. But
no, that's the fourth largest city in the country.
Yeah, it's a big market.
It's not a small.
Right, just because it's not New York or LA, it's not a small market.
Right. It just felt small because it was a team you weren't used to seeing win a championship, I guess. And
right, no, I know you say. I think Hakeem and Giannis are both from Nigeria, so I can see the correlation.
There you go. Yeah. Thanks.
All right. So let me see what game is next after that? Oh, okay. Let's go right into the Brooklyn Nets and the Boston Celtics. So Chase, they fired Kenny Atkinson right before they canceled the season. You were saying it had to do with DeAndre Jordan's lack of playing time.
It was literally Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving went to the owner and said, "This guy's not playing our friend, fire him," and they did it, which to me is bullshit.
I know. He was a great coach, and he didn't deserve that.
No, there's been a lot of bullshit things going on, mostly in Houston, but Brooklyn's had their fair share of it too.
But I mean, what do you think of KD and Kyrie so far? So far, so good. I think they look good. The practices, from what I understand, have been very intense. They've looked good in the preseason. Durant looks explosive. I like what I'm seeing so far. What are your thoughts on Brooklyn's chances?
Kevin Durant's shooting is still there, which I didn't feel would be affected by the Achilles injury. The thing that might be gone is his driving ability and dunking over people. I haven't seen him do that at all in the preseason. But if he wants to let Kyrie be the primary ball handler and he's just a catch and shoot guy, he can be the best one in the entire NBA.
It could be very scary. He looks so scary when he shoots. I forgot how scary he was as a jump shooter.
I don't know if Joe Harris is worth $80 million though.
Yeah, that's a white guy that can shoot. Comes off. Yeah.
Well,
they overpay for that, but that just shows you that shooting is very little bit overvalued in the NBA today at some point. So
yeah, sure.
But I don't know what's the update with the James Harden situation. You keep hearing that they're going to make a trade with Dinwiddie and Karis LeVert for James Harden. I mean, dude, I hope it doesn't happen.
Look,
do you still see it happen?
Here's the deal. He's got 3 years left on his deal. He does not possess a no trade clause. They can trade him anywhere, and he has no say on it.
Okay.
So to me, he will be traded to the highest bidder, and I don't see a higher bidder than Philadelphia and Ben Simmons. Period.
And you said Simmons is willing to go to Houston, right?
Well, it doesn't matter if Simmons is willing to go or not. It's if Daryl Morey is going to trade him or not, which Daryl Morey, being Daryl Morey, will trade him. Like, to me, the pairing of Harden and Embiid is too intriguing to not. Like, Daryl Morey is going to get too infatuated by that idea to let it just pass by. But they keep talking like they want to trade him to before the season begins, and there's only 3 days till that happens.
That's right.
And I don't know how they're going to do that. Because right now it's a mess. He's clearly not in shape. Hanging out with strippers in Atlanta and Las Vegas.
Right. No. You can tell once he retires, you can see what he's going to look like.
Is that where he's from, Atlanta, or is that where he lives?
He was just partying everywhere. I don't know where he's from.
What he was doing, but yeah, I mean, people have been clowning on him about his weight, but I don't know. Maybe that's what he's trying to do to get traded. Who knows? But Chase, I mean, do you think KD and Kyrie with Brooklyn can they? How far do you think they can go? With the roster, say they stay put and keep that roster.
I mean, they're at least a top 4 seed in the East, at least.
Oh yeah.
But that'd be not in the West, but in the East.
Would it shock you if they got to the finals?
No.
Okay. And I know Kyrie's not our biggest. We're not the biggest fans of Kyrie. Based on a lot of what he's been saying lately. I don't know, maybe mental health issues. I don't know what's going on with him, but yeah, man. But hey, I'm excited to see him play though. Just like Steph, I'm excited to see him.
Who are the top 4 seeds in the East? Is it Brooklyn?
Okay, you got to go Milwaukee, Brooklyn, Miami, and then who would be the 4th? People might put Atlanta.
It would be Toronto, but I guess maybe.
Toronto. Oh, Boston. I keep forgetting about Boston.
Lost Ibaka. Oh, Boston, yeah.
They still have their squad. They still have most of their guys.
All right, and that leads us to our next team, the Boston Celtics. Kemba's going to be out with the injury. They've really kind of built this team around Tatum and Brown. I think is a mistake. I don't think Tatum and Brown are could be the 1 and 2 options. I think maybe 3 and 4 are more appropriate. I don't know. I don't think Jaylen Brown's a very likable guy. I just don't feel like he's as good as everyone thinks he is. I don't think he's the type of guy where he could create his own shot when the game is on the line. What do you think, Chase, of the Celtics' chances? I think Kemba needs to be the guy.
It looks like Jason Tatum's going to be the guy from the playoffs last year. But, Boston could have traded for Anthony Davis. They had ever put Jason Tatum in a trade offer, and they never did. Everybody for years talked about Danny Ainge's war chest of assets, and he never cashed them in for anything. He's just taken all the Brooklyn picks, just drafted people. He's never cashed in on anything. He's just – I would say that getting Tristan Thompson to replace Enes Kanter is a huge upgrade for them.
Oh, definitely, yeah. Great rim protection. Yep.
They also got Jeff Teague for backup point guard, but he'll probably start in the interim. They had a solid offseason. They'll probably still be really great. But what's their ceiling? Are they ever going to get to the finals? Are they ever going to get there? I don't know.
I can't even remember. Did Jason Tatum have a great bubble?
Yes.
Yeah. And you think you can win a championship with him as the top guy and Jaylen Brown as the number 2 option?
Look, we don't know until they do it. Does he have the potential? Maybe, but we don't know. Giannis, I definitely feel more strongly than Tatum.
I don't like this team anymore. I think Brad Stevens. They lost Gordon Hayward
for nothing.
I don't know. I think he's kind of a snake.
They lost to the Heat in 5 or 6?
I think it was 6.
Okay. Well, they're getting closer. They're working toward it. I mean, you can't write them off.
No.
Right. No. Look, the bottom line, Stevens is a great coach. He gets a lot out of whatever talent he has. Maybe this is the roster. Maybe this type of roster is more conducive for him than like having, a Kyrie and, a whole bunch of stars.
The question becomes, do you run into a Kevin Durant Brooklyn team that, you've been working all these years with this squad and these guys, and sure, you're making some trades, but then you run into Kevin Durant and Kyrie
I don't
Irving.
think they could get by Jimmy Butler. I don't think they could get by Giannis. I don't think they could get by Brooklyn. I don't.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, see, I think they might be able to get by Giannis. That's just me. I think they might be able to get past.
They've done it before, yeah. So
yeah.
Okay. Nick, what matchup did we forget to talk about? The Clippers and the Nuggets. All right, Alex, you're a big Nuggets fan.
I'm big on the. I think everybody must have been impressed by what they did. In the playoffs this past season. It was amazing. Jamal Murray is amazing, and Jokic is great, and I like their coach. I think their coach seems like a great leader. So from what I heard, they basically didn't make any moves. Correct?
They only lost people.
They lost.
Really?
They lost.
Grant.
They lost Jeremy Grant. They lost Mason Plumlee. They lost Torrey Craig. And then they're basically going to rely on these guys that have been drafting more, like Bol, Michael Porter Jr., R.J. Hampton. They're expecting these young players to step up.
Yeah, so they're going to – yeah, so it'll be a year where they can get better. Whether or not they're as good as an entire unit, maybe not. Maybe it'll be a downgrade for them. But they are good, man.
Yeah, I know. Murray was, probably the MVP of the bubble. At one point, you could argue that, but Chase, I want to ask you this: I mean, do the guys in Denver, do they not like playing with Murray because Grant left to go to the Pistons for, I don't think it was for more money, right?
It was the exact same contract offer, but they were offering him an expanded offensive role, so that's what he wanted and took.
Right. Well, that's what I'm worried about. Like maybe guys don't want to play with Murray. You heard Michael Porter Jr. Speak up after the game and said we need to be more balanced. Maybe, the pick and roll with Murray and Jokic every time other guys are standing around. They got a lot of talent. They also got Millsap. I feel like when Millsap is clicking, that really puts him over the top. When he's knocking down threes and, being, actually putting forth an effort, I think they could be unstoppable. But they got to get that third wheel, whether it be Millsap, Michael Porter Jr. But I don't know. They overachieved last year. But I just, it's highly doubtful that they'll replicate that again. I just think it was they struck lightning in the bubble, but we'll see.
Yeah. Well, it'd be interesting to see. They were the 3 seed.
Oh, yeah, I love the coach though. Yeah. Chase, where would you rank Mike Malone in terms of best coaches in the game right now? Would you put him top 5?
I don't know about top 5, but definitely top 10.
Top 10,
he did not get a fair shake in Sacramento.
Right.
At all.
Marcus Cousins documentary, they went into depth about that, how he got screwed. I don't know. I don't remember what that was about, but
they had an above. He had an argument with Vivek Ranadiev when they were above 500. Yeah. God, freaking kid.
All right, so who's Denver playing? The Clippers. All right, get eliminated early like the Clippers. Chase, so what do you think about the Clippers? They got Serge Ibaka.
To me, swapping out Montrezl Harrell for Serge Ibaka is a gigantic upgrade. I don't care that he finished second in the 6-man race. The dude plays no defense. You're literally going from shitty-ass defender to one of the best rim protectors in the NBA. Like, it takes pressure off Kawhi and way off P. That freaking.
No, Chase, you're right, because when Montrez switches on to guards on the outside,
he gets cooked every time. He gets cooked.
So I agree. I think it's a great move, great upgrade. I think they got the white kid from the Pistons, Luke Kennard.
Yeah, they got him
maybe
too.
This is a better fit for him. He doesn't have to do as much. So I mean, what's your take on Paul George and Kawhi and the lack of effort against Denver? Like, what really went on there with Doc Rivers from your point of view?
I have, from listening to the Paul George on that podcast with Steven, whatever that was, it was Steven Jackson and I can't remember the other guy's name. Yeah, where he was like, "Oh, he had me spotting up like J.J. Redick or Ray Allen or something, and I don't do that." And it's like, okay, all right, dude. you do what your coach tells you to. You don't be like, I don't do that. Like, to me, Ty Lue's just gonna get out of their way, and however Kawhi and Paul George want to play, that's what they'll do, and Ty Lue will get out of their way. But we'll see how far that can go, because last year it looked like they crumbled over no real pressure. Because really, the bubble was the least pressure-filled environment in history. No fans, no noise, only people
Yeah,
in the
I just
Thunderdome
think
going thumbs down.
that.
Like,
I mean, there's no excuse for hitting the side of the backboard. Shooting
when
from the
you're wide
baseline.
open, you're wide open.
Yeah, I don't know. I just think a lot of guys just wanted to go home. I'll tell you, it's tough to win basketball games if you don't want to play. Yeah, I mean, you have to feel like playing, and I don't blame them. Maybe I don't know how tough it was. Maybe they just didn't want to play. But there was definitely a different Kawhi, different Paul George in the bubble than what we're accustomed to seeing. But hey, I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Right.
I did think Doc Rivers felt very burned out. I just thought he looked tired. I think it was a very emotional summer for everybody, and I just think it was just time to move on. So I think it was a good move to bring in Ty Lue. So
Sure.
I think the Clippers have a good season though.
Yeah, no, the Clippers are scary, and I thought it was great when Kawhi won with Toronto, and so I'm on the side of the fence with people who don't like Kawhi, because I wanted to see him I always want to see a guy stick with his team and try to repeat. But he grew up in the LA area,
Right.
so he wanted to play for an LA team. I get it. So I have to root against the Clippers just for that very reason. And of course I root for LeBron. So obviously I'm rooting for the other LA team. No, they are a scary team. And if they can figure it out, they're going to be really tough. And whenever they play the Lakers, they turn it up, they turn it up even more. So
they made some nice acquisitions. They still got Zubats, and they got Batum as well, who has not been great, but maybe this is a better fit for him, Chase, right?
I think he's done.
Think he's done?
I think he's done. I think that'll be Gordon's Hayward's fate. Just a string of Charlotte overpays. First it was Al Jefferson, and then he broke down. And then they overpaid Nick Batum, then he broke down. And now they're overpaying Gordon Hayward, and he's already hurt.
That's right. All right, you know what, Chase? Let's move on to Gordon Hayward. So Michael Jordan signs him to a 4-year, $120 million contract with Charlotte Hornets. Jordan tried to sign him back in 2014, but Utah matched the offer sheet.
Yep.
What's going on with Jordan? Signing Gordon Hayward, drafting LaMelo Ball. Does he just want to sell tickets? Is that what it's about? Because it doesn't really make a lot of sense to overpay for Hayward, considering his situation health-wise and everything.
As good as Michael Jordan was as a player, he is as awful as an executive. Like, it's just blunder after blunder, drafting Kwame Brown #1 overall, then demoting himself to a player, essentially firing himself from the job to the point where he buys Charlotte, and it's like they didn't offer Kemba a max. It's like
right.
He doesn't want anybody else to come out of North Carolina with any real success.
I don't understand it. Like,
I'll tell you what, they'll be fun to watch. I think they'll sell more tickets this year, but I don't know, man.
I don't know if it'll last once people figure out LaMelo sucks.
Yeah.
He's like been one of my least favorite prospects to watch in years. I don't see what people see in him whatsoever. He's just a chucker.
The whole family's kind of overhyped, but we'll give Lonzo credit. I know he's on your Pelicans, but the biggest one of the big. You actually called me up as soon as this happened. Washington Wizards, Houston Rockets trade. Russell Westbrook goes to the Wizards. John Wall after Achilles goes to the Rockets. Tell me about that trade. Who's going to benefit from that trade? I think the Wizards would be good with Westbrook. I like it actually.
Nobody benefits from that trade. Neither one of them benefit. That's like a completely lateral move.
You don't think so? You think it evens itself out?
I think it completely evens itself out. Because like Washington was their most successful last year when the ball was in Bradley Beal's hands. What's going to happen when Russell Westbrook's on that floor? Who's going to have the ball? Who do you think's going to have the ball, Robin?
No, but I think Westbrook and Bradley. I think it could be a little bit like KD and Westbrook. I like Westbrook in that. I think Westbrook that's what he's good at. Dominating the ball. Because if he could collapse the defense, it'll open shots up for Bradley Beal. Bradley Beal could be both. He could be a catch and shoot guy, and he could take guys off the dribble. So I like it. I see it like as a poor man's KD and Westbrook. Maybe I'm wrong, but I like it better for Washington because with John Wall, there's too many question marks right now. I don't know how he looks, but
wait a second, John Wall didn't just tear his Achilles.
He tore his ACL, and then he literally, while he was recovering from that, he tripped in the shower and tore his Achilles. He hasn't played an NBA game in 2 years.
That's terrible.
Yeah.
That's terrible because we were just watching him like a week ago.
Oh no! This was before. He's coming off all that.
Teammate Marcus Cousins, and they're both coming off the same injuries. So
yeah,
it should be interesting.
Oh wow! Yeah.
So that's the Wizards and the Rockets. All right, so let's go back to Harden. So you think Harden's going to end up in Philadelphia? Is that what I'm hearing?
Okay, I'm just saying right now because I didn't see Milwaukee trading for Drew Holiday, but I didn't know they were going to give up 5 first-round picks either. Barring some crazy offer like that, I don't see a player or draft pick available that's better than Ben Simmons. Like, period. Like, I don't know what somebody could come up with. Because, like, Tyler Hero.
Well, I don't know. If I'm Philadelphia, I don't think I make that trade, though. I think I'd rather keep Simmons. But, you could argue that the Simmons and Embiid pairing is just not working. Maybe Harden be a better fit with them. I don't know. It's a tough call, but, yeah.
I mean,
I don't know. I'm just saying I'd rather have Simmons than Harden just in general without any, basically on any teams. But
interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Harden's such a key.
But at this stage, though, because Simmons is younger, he's more athletic, he's a better defender. I think that's more important than anything.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Well, they want to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, that should be their goal.
Right. They don't want to get swept in the first round.
Right. Yeah.
They've just become a very bland team over the years. But Philadelphia did add a lot of shooting though. They got Danny Green.
They got Seth Curry.
And they got Seth Curry. So they put shooters around Simmons and Embiid. So that's
good. I hope so because obviously these guys are just failing miserably year after year, decade after decade.
Oh,
so it'd be nice to see. It'd be nice to see the Philadelphia 76ers, in our area, do something. We're smack dab in the middle.
Oh, y'all don't want to claim Brooklyn?
No.
I can't root for Brooklyn.
But Chase, what do you think of the Knicks? I think they look good so far. Thibodeau is the coach. Obviously, he's going to coach their asses off in terms of defense. I think Barrett looks a lot better this season. A lot of the kids from Kentucky quickly looks good. Knox looks a little bit better. Another Kentucky guy.
I mean,
the shooting actually looks a lot better this year. I just think that they need to let RJ Barrett develop though. What I've noticed is Julius Randle is taking more shots than anybody on the team.
That's Julius
Randle. I think that's what's kind of holding them up. A lot of guys aren't big Randle fans in terms of the fans of Knicks, the Knicks fans.
Nope. Overpaid and he's a ball hog.
Yeah.
But to me, my favorite moment of the Knicks preseason, the coaches are required to wear the mask at all times now.
Yeah.
There was a moment where Tibbs literally took the mask off to scream, "What the fuck" at a referee and then put it right back on. And it cracks me up.
That's not the only time. He's been taking it off all game. Anytime he has to yell, he takes it off.
That's the funniest thing still with the players too. I think LeBron had the mask, he's like, he takes it off to cheer one of his teammates and then he puts it back on. It's like, dude, it's like one or the other. You can't just like,
God.
It's funny.
I mean, we've already.
I love the hire though. I know you could argue that Thibodeau is not an offensive genius, but I do love the way he holds guys accountable on defense.
I think it's a step in the right direction.
Yeah, I thought it'd be interesting if they made a move for Harden, the Knicks. I could see Dolan actually going for that, but because Thibodeau's the coach, I'd rather just see RJ Barrett develop.
Not gonna work. Okay.
Chase, what's your thoughts on RJ Barrett?
He's all right. He's better than Knox, which wouldn't take much because when you have literally the worst rookie season in history, there's nowhere place to go but up.
Yeah. And we got to keep in mind that there was a time when R.J. Barrett was a higher touted than Zion when he was at Duke. A lot of people thought R.J. Barrett might have been the better guy.
Does that really matter when Austin Rivers is ranked higher as a high school prospect than Anthony Davis? Do high school rankings really matter, Robin?
Knicks have Austin Rivers as well.
OJ Mayo. You remember OJ Mayo? He's supposed to be the God's gift of basketball.
Like you're saying, you never know. The same thing with this kid from Cleveland, Darius Garland, number 4 pick. It's like it's such a thin. You just never know with these high draft picks anymore. So
I don't know what Cleveland's doing other than being bad at basketball.
All right, is there any other teams we could touch on? You know what? Let's touch on Phoenix. Alex, what do you think of Chris Paul? So if Phoenix gets to the playoffs, this would be Chris Paul's. If he could get Phoenix to the playoffs, I think this might be his biggest accomplishment, especially when you consider his age and everything.
Absolutely, yeah. I was disappointed that he couldn't stay with OKC because he really had,
that was a good team.
That was a fun team to watch, and they gave the Rockets a real run for their money. But at the same time, I don't know a whole lot about the Phoenix. What's the name of the
Devin Booker? Yeah,
Devin Booker, aka for me, the guy from Phoenix. No, I mean, if he can bring them there, absolutely. I think it's big for him.
Phoenix has a lot of pieces, man. I mean, they got DeAndre Ayton, could be one of the best big men in the game. You just have to wonder about his motor, like day in and day out. But I mean, you got to love what you see offensively from that team. It's just, can they play defense day in and day out? That's what OKC was able to do. They had great defenders like Steven Adams and Schroeder, Gilgeous Alexander. OKC had a lot of talent. I just don't know that they're going to be as good defensively as OKC. What do you think, Chase?
I mean, they went 8-0 in the bubble, and they swapped out Ricky Rubio for Chris Paul. Pretty much that same roster minus Kelly Oubre.
Yeah.
That could be really great. Or it could go bad. Don't know.
You can see that. You think they'll make the playoffs, though?
Yes.
I'd say 7th seed. Yeah, definitely. All right, who has a better chance of making the playoffs, Golden State or Phoenix?
Phoenix.
Wow.
They're more complete. They have depth. Golden State has no depth.
Damn.
All right, you know what? Let's jump to the Portland Trailblazers. I think my pick for MVP this season will be Damian Lillard. He's probably my favorite player now that Derrick Rose is kind of on the way out. But yeah, I like Portland this season. I think Portland has. We talked about last year. The defense was the big problem. They lost a lot of their big men for whatever reason. Dame and CJ didn't have as much comfort offensively without the big men being there. They had some key acquisitions, Rodney Hood coming back, just a lot of moves that they made during the offseason, and a lot of pickups that they made. So talk about Portland.
I think the Robert Covington trade was huge for them.
Yeah, definitely. Another great defender, another guy that can hit open shots is exactly what they need.
They got Enes Kanter back. What else did they do? Let me go to my handy-dandy cheat sheet.
Gary Trent Jr. is coming. He's another guy that can he had a great showing in the bubble.
Miami, Milwaukee, Minnesota.
Oh, who's the other guy that they got? Yeah, Robert Covington. Yeah, Covington.
Oh, Harry Giles. They got Harry Giles from nothing from Sacramento, and he's a really good backup big man. And they got him for the minimum, which is ridiculous.
They got rid of Whiteside, which is huge because I'm not a big Whiteside fan. Whiteside went to Sacramento.
He goes from a max contract to a minimum.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Which he only has himself to blame for that.
Yeah.
But I really like.
You know the Matt Huggins, Alex Hassan Whiteside.
What's up, Matt?
I think
it's kind of an inside joke with their family. When there's a guy that can't play basketball, we just call him Matt Huggins.
Oh God.
So yeah, man. But I like Portland's chances, though, man. I do. I love the Carmelo. I forgot another one. I think Carmelo fit in great with them. towards the end of the game, it's just another guy you could give the ball to.
Is he still there? He's still
they signed him to the veteran minimum, right, Chase?
Yes.
Well, they've always been a franchise. It would just be fun ever since, when they went to the finals with the Bulls in 1992. And
I'm talking about the franchise, yeah.
Yeah, just the franchise as a whole. They've always been a fun franchise to watch, the different teams that came up.
And they beat the Lakers. Before Dame got hurt, they beat the Lakers in Game 1. I just want to make that point.
That's true. Yeah, absolutely. So,
they probably would have won the series.
It'd be so much fun to see them I don't know if they're a contender yet, but see them to be a real contender for a championship someday.
Yeah, but God, I mean, think about what Damian Lillard did just to get that team into the playoffs, man. He had to kill himself. He had to score 61 points in games, It was just incredible. But now I feel like he's got the help back, and whatever problems there were on defense, I think it should be solved this year. They got a great coach. I like Portland to get to the finals. So Portland's my team.
I don't know about that far, man.
I don't know about all that.
That's just
well, there's no Golden State standing in their way. Like
the Lakers.
That's really been their Achilles heel.
What you're looking for is an upset. They've got to upset the LA teams.
And they could do that. I think they could do that.
I mean, they didn't last year.
Hey Chase, let me ask you about Derrick Rose. He's making I believe he's making $7.5 million this year. Is there any contenders that are going to make a run for him, or probably not?
He'll end up somewhere for a first-round pick. That's pretty much the belief, is that by the trade deadline, he will be traded for a first-round pick to someone. Don't know who though. What's a team that has a glaring hole at backup point guard?
I was gonna say Utah, but Utah, they're the ones that waived them. So you heard a lot about Derrick Rose coming to the Lakers, after the championship. But if that was going to happen, would it have happened already? If they wait to the trade deadline, they won't have to spend as much money, right? So
I don't know if they have any exceptions.
Is a lot, but it's not that much. So
they'd have to trade somebody though. I don't know. He's trapped in Detroit for now, like Blake Griffin.
So are Rose and Blake good enough to get the Pistons to the playoffs?
No.
They don't have much help other than that.
Blake's been depressing ever since he got traded up there. He's been constantly injured, and just you can tell he's just it looks like his soul has left his body. He's just a depressed being playing basketball.
Curse of you know what? Yeah.
Oh God.
I mean,
but you know what, man? Rose still looks good though. I know he's not as explosive as he used to be, but he's shooting a higher percentage, and I think his passing's gotten better. I still like watching him play. So we'll see what happens there. What about Indiana? What do you? Indiana's a playoff team.
I mean, they tried to trade Miles Turner to anyone that would pick up the phone, and everybody said no. They tried to get Miles Turner signed and traded for Gordon Hayward. That never happened.
Right. So they really wanted Hayward, and Hayward wanted them, but they just couldn't make it work because of the salary cap, right?
It would had to have been a sign and trade in Boston, and couldn't come to terms. And then while all that was happening, Michael Jordan plopped down that 120. I don't they got Brogdon, they got Oladipo, they got Sabonis. They have a really solid team. They'll probably be 6 or 7.
Yeah.
But
when they fired Nate McMillan, that was kind of a shock. But I guess they didn't expect them to get swept by Miami the way they did. They probably didn't realize how good Miami was at that time. Maybe that had a lot to do with it. That kind of surprised me.
I mean, he had them playing a very 90s style of basketball, which can work if your roster does that, but
he was on the team that dominated the 90s and it's Supersonics. So
it's not the in thing right now to have most of your shots come from the mid range. It's not looked upon very brightly. But now he's with his son in Atlanta.
he's coaching his son.
No, Jamel McMillan and Nate McMillan are both on the Atlanta Hawks coaching staff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, so Chase, a lot of people thought Atlanta Hawks won the off season. Well, I mean, they did. They made a lot of big moves. They got Bogdanovich. They picked up a lot of shoot. They got a good combination of. They kind of want to build this team like Golden State did with Trae Young and another great shooter like Bogdanovich. Plus, you got all the rim protection with John Collins coming back. I think they signed Clint Capella. So I mean,
No,
they got a lot.
They traded for Clint Capella.
They traded for Clint Capella.
They signed Danilo Gallinari.
They signed Gallinari. So yeah, they got a lot of nice pieces. I think Atlanta
reportedly to a bench role, $20 million a year to come off the bench. So we'll see how that goes.
Wow.
I don't like. It's clear that they didn't feel that Trae Young was getting the help from their draft picks, so they've brought in a bunch of really solid guys for more than they would get other places. We'll see how it works. They'll probably overachieve, but I don't see them going past the first round.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Trae Young fan, but no, the roster does look improved. Like I would say, they look like the most improved roster.
I mean, he's an incredible scorer, but his defense is just non-existent.
Oh, the defense, the shot selection, the I don't know. There's a lot of things he does that I'm not a big fan of, but yeah, but they do look improved though. I like their bigs. I think that's what's most attractive about them. John Collins and Capella. It was a mistake for Houston to ever get rid of Capella, I believe.
I mean, they put the ball in Westbrook's hands, and they figured 5 out was the only way that would work.
Yeah.
Of course, now they've turned the other way, and that they signed Christian Wood and DeMarcus Cousins, so they're no longer doing that again. But yeah, I don't know. I don't buy all the hype on Atlanta. I think it's overblown.
Yeah, there's no. Yeah, I mean, there's really not much hype, but you know, NBA TV. A lot of guys said that they won the offseason, so I just wanted to see if you agreed with that.
No.
But you know, I think most people think the Lakers did. So yeah, anything else you guys want to talk about? You want to talk about Steve Nash as a coach? Any coaching?
Kyrie Irving took back his comments about him not being a coach. I don't know if you saw that.
Yeah, no, I saw that. Yeah.
Oh my God, that guy.
Collaborative effort.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, I sent you a text over the summer. Right? What did it say? It said, Kyrie's a fascinating guy. He sounds so articulate and confident.
For such a dumbass.
And like Charles Barkley was right. Like every time Kyrie tries to talk, it's like he's trying to like set the world on fire with how smart he is. He sounds pretty smart, like in terms of the way he talks. But
he always seems like a mild-mannered, well-spoken guy, and then just comes out.
He tries to sound like what that guy from The Fresh Prince. What's his name? Carlton. Yeah.
And then he's like, "Oh, the world's flat. Oh, you shouldn't get vaccinated." It's like, "Oh, maybe you're not that smart."
You guys might have some flat earthers on the channel. You got to be careful.
That's right. We forgot to talk about I'm going to say this, Chase, and let me know if I'm way off. This is going to be maybe the worst year the Spurs have had since.
Oh God.
Or David Robinson, maybe.
Oh God. Okay.
Maybe going back to pre-David Robinson days.
So last year they ended up at pick 11. I don't know where they'll end up this year. I would not be shocked if they try to trade away LaMarcus Aldridge and DeMar DeRozan to get worse.
Oh, definitely, yeah. I'm just looking at the team. I'm like, why are they even still there? Like, you get the feeling that DeMar DeRozan kind of reminds me of trying to think of like someone that lost his best friend and doesn't know why the fuck he's still there. Like that's the situation. That's what it feels like to me. And LaMarcus, I don't know. He's not the same guy that he was in Portland. They could be a great 1-2 punch, but
they're both past their prime.
I'm interested to see who they could develop. Like who's the next Tony Parker? Who's their next Manu Ginobili? Is it DeJounte Murray or this kid Derek White? I mean, they definitely have some nice pieces, but are they really going to take that next step, or are they just borderline G League guys? It's tough to tell. And you just feel bad for Pop. It's like where does he go from there? There was on the radio, they really wanted to get Pop on the Nets. Like he was a hot candidate, like in terms of the gossip. So,
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if they try to tank this year because people are talking up this draft big time, and you can't
is
really.
that good?
You can't really improve. Oh, people are salivating over that Cade Cunningham kid. I haven't really looked at him, but that's like the big name right now for consensus number one. But like, I don't like. There are people I know that have not been alive their like entire lives before the Spurs got in the lottery, which is crazy.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah,
There's 23 years without being in the lottery, but they're finally back.
Since 1997, they haven't been in the lottery.
Yeah, ever since they drafted Tim Duncan.
Well, and the only reason they got there is because David Robinson
broke his leg.
Sat out the whole 96-97 season. He didn't play a game, I don't think. So you probably, I think this might be one of the worst Spurs teams in in a very long time. So.
Did you guys see when they asked Greg Popovich about how the streak was over? So I don't know how many years since they made the playoffs.
Right.
I mean, it wasn't even just playoffs. That entire time they were winning 50 games too. Like they even won 50 games in that 66 game season, which to me is the greatest accomplishment of Pop's career. But it was
how consistent he was.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it was funny because he was like, "Hey, it wasn't a streak until we lost. You weren't calling it a streak until we lost, And then he looks at the reporter. He goes, oh, "I'm just fucking with you, Well, I gotta love Greg Popovich.
He's still there. Tim Duncan's no longer coaching though. That was one season of him being an assistant.
Oh man,
I forgot about that. I didn't even know that.
Yeah, I was like, I don't even know why he did it.
Boredom, probably. He's back to just doing player development. He's no longer on the front row on the bench.
Yeah, it just didn't seem natural to me.
It seems more like a good. He helps develop some of the players. He helps.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But
That's a better fit for him. Yeah. He hates being in front of a camera. He hates being anywhere near a camera. So.
Chase, we forgot to talk about Utah. You were telling me that Rudy Gobert's agent wants the Supermax deal, but Utah only wants to offer him the max.
They have offered him the max, and he has turned the max down because he wants the Supermax. Rudy Gobert, Mr. I can't be on the floor in the fourth quarter of a playoff game, wants the Supermax.
Yeah. He's a great rim protector, but there's so many times where if the guy's guarding could shoot, you could take him away from the basket and it opens things up. He's just not. I don't know. There's certain teams he doesn't match up well against, but he is a great shot blocker. Sure. He was the defensive player of the year. He's the main reason why the NBA shut down. So.
Exactly. What do you mean main reason? The reason?
I don't think he should get that much blame.
I remember he sent me a text that said Rudy Gobert has COVID-19. I was like, what the fuck? And all of a sudden it started, everything shut down.
No, because that week, because like NBA tried to put in guidelines before it all came crashing down. And like that first press conference, he like touched all the microphones and coughed on.
Yeah, it was screwing around with everything.
And then he had it. I don't.
Yeah. But a lot of people think the Jazz is going to be good. One of the experts just had them at number 2 in the West. Do you agree with that?
They had them there last year too, and they underperformed. I mean, they're solid.
They were up 3-1 on Denver, and they blew the lead just like the Clippers.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, everyone's talking about the Clippers, but the Jazz blew that lead as well. So let's keep that in mind.
They were a lower seed,
right?
So it was a little more.
What were they? The 6th seed?
They were it was a 6-3 matchup. That was one of my favorite playoff series in a long, long time. That
Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray
shoot it.
Like
that was awesome.
Bird, Dominique level.
That was crazy.
And it wasn't just one game. It was like every frigging game in the series. What was there like? There was like a 50-50 game as well, I think. But yeah. I like Utah though, man. Utah, I mean, even going back to Stockton and Malone, you know what to expect from them. Fundamentally, they're great. They always got a structured system. whether it be Darren Williams and Jerry Sloan or even what they got now, Did Donovan Mitchell sign the max or super max?
I think it's just a max.
Okay. So because Gobert won Defensive Player of the Year, he's eligible.
He's
for the
eligible.
Supermax?
Yeah, yes, that is correct. He's eligible.
Yeah, but all right. So Utah doesn't want to pay it though, right? It's just too much, not enough space.
Yeah, I don't even think he's worth a regular max. Like, if you're gonna dedicate 25% of your salary cap to one player, they got to be helping you everywhere, not just on defense.
Okay,
that's
a great point.
When did they help teach me something? When did they start the Supermax thing? Is that part of the
that started at the last CBA in 2016 when the salary cap jump happened? Remember when it jumped $40 million that one off season?
Got the new TV deal, so that
basically they're trying to combat all this player movement. So if basically the team that drafts you, if you're on your third contract, they have the option to give you a contract that's worth 35% of the cap. But the problem is that we've already found out from this is that it just handicaps a team's finances. Like Oklahoma City was trying to get Westbrook as fast as they could. Washington was trying to get John Wall. Houston was trying to get rid of Chris Paul. Like literally everyone that signed it, they've been trying to get rid of him. Wow. Besides Damian Lillard and Giannis, because Harden's on that list too, and he's probably gonna get traded too.
Wow.
Yeah. But like, they need to. Okay, so I proposed this to my friend, and that so right now, if you're a 10-year veteran, your minimum's $2.6 million, but on the salary cap sheet, it only counts for 1.6. So to me, they got to do something with the Supermax to where it doesn't handicap a team from like improving themselves. Because right now, that's all it does. Like you look at Milwaukee, like 90% of their cap for the next 5 years is going to be Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, and Giannis Antetokounmpo. Like that's crazy. You can't improve.
So yeah, it's a situation where they can only sign guys for the veteran minimum.
Yeah.
So
not smart.
No,
it's not smart.
I mean, they tried to fight it, and then they ended up shooting themselves in the foot.
I can see why they did it, though. It's it's to protect those smaller. It's to protect teams like the Bucks. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because look at where the Bucks were when your friend came over that one day. Remember, he was like, we were watching NBA League Pass, and he was like, why would anybody watch the Bucks? It's like, yeah, if they don't sign Giannis, they're going to end up being that again. So I could definitely see where they're coming from. But in terms of trying to build a championship team, it gives you very little breathing room, and which is why, like you said, that's why the Rockets got rid of Chris Paul. Same reason why they're trying to get rid of Harden. It's just like you can't build a friggin' team with it.
I mean, Harden's a whole other different thing where he's had 4 different max salary teammates now, and for some reason they're always the problem and not Harden. But
I think what Harden's got to kind of accept like the Carmelo role. I think at this point, like what he was in OKC. I think that's what's in the cards for Harden. Being the 6th man. If he wants to go to the Nets, I like him in that 6th man role. I do not like him, starting with them and him being the primary ball handler. I think that would be a nightmare. So, yeah.
I just hate watching him play basketball. Period. It's just not.
Oh, you're not a big fan? Yeah.
It's a terrible product. I'm just gonna. I got fouled.
You knew D'Antoni was going to get fired during that Lakers series.
Oh, he quit.
I've seen him dribble all over the place at half court. It was like there's no adjustments here.
He quit. Daryl Morey quit.
Yeah. As soon as the Lakers benched Dwight and JaVale McGee, that totally changed that series. But yeah, I mean, do we forget to mention anybody? Billy Donovan going to the Bulls.
That
you got any thoughts on that? He didn't want to be part of a rebuild in OKC, but then he goes.
Yeah, that baffled me. Like he didn't want to be part of a rebuild. Then
I was thinking maybe a bigger market. Maybe he was more attracted to the talent there. I think the OKC rebuild. I think it's going to take a longer period of time because of all they got draft picks going to 2026. Maybe the Bulls just have. Maybe he just likes the talent that's there immediately.
To me, it was like a super abrupt switch too, because Oklahoma City completely overachieved last year, and Billy probably wanted to stick on that track, but clearly Sam Presti did not want to be
Right.
good at all. But it was really sad to just watch that team get dismantled after how fun they were. It's gonna be Lou Dort Shea next year. That's all I got.
Yeah, I agree. But the
And
Chris Paul, the problem was they got so much for Chris Paul that they probably they just couldn't turn it down. But I like some of the pieces the Bulls have though. I like marketing. Kobe White. I'm not that high on that guy Wendell Carter, but Zach LaVine's another one. I think the Bulls do have some depth. How long do you think this Bulls rebuild will go?
it depends on until they get a guy that's an all-star level player. That's literally how it always goes. It's like, do you have a guy that's making an all-star team? All right, then you can be a playoff team. It's like, but I don't
Yeah.
see like Zach LaVine does not at that level. He's almost there, but he's not at that level right now.
Yeah, they're a fun team to watch. But yeah, I agree that they still have a ways to go. But maybe that's what Billy wants. Just to coach a team with that superstar ego. He never really had the chance to do that yet.
No,
Maybe last year was the closest thing, but I'm excited to see what he'll do in terms of coaching.
the best thing I can say about the Chicago is that at least they're not Cleveland.
Yeah,
That team, oh god,
Cleveland team's bland as shit.
I don't
Yeah.
like
Who's
that.
Cleveland's best player? The fifth pick in the draft, Okoro, or is it
That
Darius Garland?
probably Colin Sexton.
Collins? Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he averaged 20 last year. But again, is he actually a 20-point per game scorer, or is he a Michael Carter Williams, where he's putting up numbers on a bad team? Because anybody could do that. But I don't know. It's
all right, man.
Yep.
You know what? Let's wrap it up, man. Chase, so why don't you give me your finals prediction and give me your choice for MVP?
Lakers over Nets, and I think Giannis goes for 3 in a row.
3 in a row.
Yeah.
The first time that'll be done since Larry Bird, right?
Yeah.
80, 84, 85, 86.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Alex, why don't you give me your finals predictions?
I want it to be what you just said it was.
That'd be sweet.
Yeah, my fear is that it's going to be the other way around, that it could be Nets over Lakers, but because LeBron, he's lost a lot in the finals. I'm hoping that your prediction is right. I think that would be nice, and that'd be marquee. Oh my God, I think the ratings would be great for that. MVP, I really don't have a prediction.
LeBron?
I don't think it's going to be. No, I don't think it's going to be LeBron.
Too much fatigue, right?
I really think last year was LeBron's last best shot at it.
Oh yeah, well that's why he was pissed.
Yeah.
I agreed with him, but come on, man, just give me a name. Like who stands out? Luka Doncic, Damian Lillard.
I think Damian Lillard could be. It could be between is possible. Him, you like Steph. I know you like Steph Curry as a possibility. It depends.
It's a possibility, yeah.
I don't know, but I'm sorry. I can't pick MVPs. I'm not good at that.
All right, fuck it. I'll go with Steph as my MVP, and I'll go with Portland and the Bucks in the finals.
Who's going to win?
I'm going with Portland. I think they made the defensive adjustments.
Damian Lillard is his new guy.
They got a triple scoring threat and the defensive adjustments. I think that's enough for them to win. But yeah, man, I really think the Bucks will get to the finals this year. I think Drew Holiday was what they really needed. I really think that's exactly what
they better hope so.
Take the pressure off of Giannis. So I'll go with the Bucks.
Cool. Very cool.
All right. Well,
Nets and Lakers would be showtime though, in terms of storyline, in terms of marquee. That'd be a lot of fun. So that's a good pick, Chase.
All right. Well, I'll talk to you again in 6 years, Robin.
All right. Thanks, Chase.
All right. See y'all later.
Good to meet you, man.